Away they go, really good start there from Jeremiah Azu. He's got some running to do here, but Glave is going really well on the near side. Oh, and he's pulled up, and the hamstring has gone again, and it's 1 and 2 for Glave.
Marcell Jacobs walked into the European Championships 100-meter final in Birmingham as the fastest man on the continent. 20,000 fans were on their feet. He had beaten this field before. He was ready to make history. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. What happened next left the entire stadium in shock. Here is exactly what happened. The gun went off for the men's 100-meter final at Alexander Stadium in Birmingham, and within seconds, the entire race flipped upside down. Britain's Romell Glave exploded out of the blocks with a sharp, immediate start. Jacobs was slower off the line than usual. By the halfway mark, Glave already had a clear lead, and the gap kept growing. Then, right around the 50-meter point, Jacobs suddenly slowed down. He did not sprint through the finish. He eased into what looked like a jog. Something was clearly wrong, and the crowd could see it happening in real time. The man who was supposed to be fighting for gold was now barely moving forward. Glave kept driving through the line and crossed in 10.09 seconds. Jeremiah Azu followed him home in 10.16 for silver, giving Great Britain a stunning 1-2 finish in their own backyard. Germany's Owen Ansah took bronze in 10.19. There was extra weight to that bronze too, since Ansah has been facing calls from Germany's own anti-doping agency for a 4-year ban after refusing to take a doping test. He ran anyway, and he medaled anyway, adding one more layer of drama to an already wild night. Jacobs eventually crossed the line in 7th place, more than 2 seconds slower than the winner. For a 100-meter sprinter, that is an enormous gap, the kind that normally separates elite professionals from amateurs. Fans who had come to watch a champion chase history instead watched him limp toward the line in visible pain, a stunning sight for anyone who had seen him dominate this event for years. So what actually happened to him? Jacobs explained it right after the race while still processing what had just gone wrong. He said he felt something before the race even started, while testing his position in the blocks. He described a pull in his adductor, one of the inner thigh muscles sprinters depend on most for explosive power. He said he knew right away it was serious. Despite that warning sign, he still lined up and gave it everything he had. He said he tried to push to the limit once the race began, but at the 50-meter mark, the injury became too much, and something pulled seriously enough that he had to stop pushing. Now let's talk about why this moment hit so hard. This was not just any race for Jacobs. He is the Tokyo Olympic champion, and he already had 2 European 100-meter titles to his name, one from Munich in 2022 and one from Rome in 2024. A win in Birmingham would have made him only the 3rd man in history to win 3 straight European 100-meter titles. Valery Borzov did it back in the 1970s. Linford Christie did it in the 1990s. Jacobs was 1 race away from joining that exclusive club, and he looked more than ready for it. Earlier in the season, he ran a wind-assisted 9.67 seconds in Eisenstadt. He also went under 10 seconds twice in Diamond League races, in Rome and in Paris. Heading into Birmingham, he was the fastest man in Europe this year. His semi-final only added to the confidence. He won that heat in 10.08 seconds without even pushing hard, later saying it felt like jogging. But this final was always going to be a real fight. Great Britain had qualified 3 sprinters, and the home crowd was fully behind them. Glave had actually qualified as the 2nd fastest man going into the final, right behind Jacobs. Azu was fresh off winning the world indoor 60-meter title. A 3rd British sprinter, Louis Hinchliffe, had to withdraw before the final with his own injury. But the 2 who remained were more than enough to make this a genuine contest, not just a coronation for Jacobs. Think about how brutal the timing is. Just hours earlier, his body felt effortless, gliding through a semi-final like it was a training run. Then, in the biggest race of the night, in front of the biggest crowd of the week, it broke down at the exact moment it mattered most. Jacobs did not hide his disappointment afterward. He said he was upset because his semi-final had felt so smooth, and pointed out that the final was won with a time of 10.09, a time he believes he could have beaten based on how he was running earlier that day. He called it unlucky, but said this is part of the sport and that he is still here to compete. Now let's talk about the man who capitalized on this moment. Romell Glave is 26 years old, and this gold medal meant something extra to him. Back at the 2024 European Championships in Rome, Glave had finished behind Jacobs, taking bronze while Jacobs claimed gold. Birmingham gave him a chance to flip that result completely, and he did it in front of his home crowd on the biggest stage of his career so far. For a sprinter who had spent years chasing the top step of the podium, this was the breakthrough he had been waiting for. Glave did not hold back when talking about British sprinting lately. He called it domination, total domination, and he had a point. Just one day earlier, Britain's Amy Hunt had won the women's 100-meter title at the very same championships, finishing in 11.0 seconds after storming through the field with a powerful late charge. She had not even led the race until the closing meters, coming from as far back as 5th place before her finish carried her past the entire field. Now, with Glave and Azu going 1-2 in the men's race, Britain had claimed both major sprint titles on home soil within 24 hours. This was also a historic moment for the event itself. It marked the first time Britain had ever hosted the European Athletics Championships in the competition's 92-year history. For the host nation to sweep both 100-meter titles on a stage, this big made the achievement even bigger for the British team and the fans who filled the stadium, a crowd that had come hoping for a competitive race and left with a home sweep they will remember for years. For Jacobs, the road ahead is uncertain. He said he would need time to understand exactly how serious the injury really is. An adductor strain can range from a minor tweak that heals in days to a significant tear that can sideline an athlete for weeks or longer. His team will be looking closely at what this means for the rest of his season and how much time he might lose before his next major competition. Injury has disrupted major championships for Jacobs before. His career has been filled with incredible highs, like his shocking Olympic gold in Tokyo, mixed with stretches where injuries pulled him away from competition at the worst possible times. He has dealt with thigh problems, back issues, and now an adductor strain, all arriving at moments when he looked ready to dominate. Birmingham joins that list, and for a sprinter still chasing more history, each setback costs him valuable time. What makes this one especially painful is that there was no slow decline this season. He was running well, he was healthy for months, and the injury struck without warning on the exact night it mattered most. For Great Britain, this night will be remembered as one of the greatest sprinting days in their history at a major championship. 2 golds, 1 silver, all on home soil, all within a single day of racing. Sprinters who had spent years chasing the top of European athletics finally got their moment on their own track, in front of their own fans. For Jacobs, it will be remembered as one of the toughest nights of his career, a night where the fastest man in Europe could not finish the race he had built his whole season around. The final medal table tells the story on paper. Gold for Glave, silver for Azu, bronze for Ansa. But the real story was written in the middle of the race when the favorite pulled up in pain and the home crowd watched history slip through his fingers in real time. Now the question turns to what comes next. Will Jacobs recover in time to salvage his season? Or will this injury linger into the fall? Or is this the beginning of a longer setback that keeps him off the track for weeks? One thing is certain. Birmingham will be remembered as the night nobody saw coming, and the night British sprinting announced itself louder than ever before.